Sara, Woman in the Shadows, delivers its most tense and revelatory episode, yet as episode 4 dramatically accelerates multiple plotlines toward an explosive conclusion. The delicate dance between personal grief and professional investigation reaches new heights, as Sara's mission to uncover the truth behind her son's death leads to dangerous territory involving political corruption, staged hate crimes, and a heartbreaking personal delivery from beyond the grave. With new alliances forming and old wounds reopening, this pivotal episode sets up what promises to be a devastating confrontation in the weeks ahead. The episode opens with a striking visual of Sara jogging through Naples to the dramatic strains of Habanera, from Carmen, establishing both her physical prowess and the operatic scale of the conspiracy she's uncovering. Her conversation with fellow agent Anzavino reveals that while a Nigerian man has taken the blame for Sergio's murder, Sara remains unconvinced this is the full story. When Anzavino mentions potential protests at an upcoming political rally, we get our first hint of the episode's central tension between political theater and genuine civil unrest. Sara's curt dismissal of Anzavino's concerns, "Keep me posted," demonstrates her laser focus on her personal mission rather than broader political implications. Meanwhile, Sara and her reluctant partner Pardo stake out a museum where they expect to intercept Eduardo Bellitti, a journalist who appears to have been collaborating with Sergio before his death. Their surveillance reveals Sergio and Eduardo used a clever communication system, fake housing posts mentioning museums as meeting points. When they confront Eduardo in an abandoned gallery, he initially attempts to flee, demonstrating his deep-seated fear of being discovered. This fear proves justified when he reveals he's been investigating a shocking conspiracy. Someone is staging crimes to frame migrants, allowing politician Tarallo to exploit xenophobic fears for electoral gain. These crimes are all connected, Eduardo explains, suggesting Sergio was killed because he discovered this plot while working as Tarallo's insider. In a parallel storyline that adds emotional depth to Sara's character, she receives an unexpected gift from Andrea, a colleague of her deceased husband or lover Massimiliano. The scene is charged with unspoken history as Andrea reveals he withheld Massimiliano's final message out of jealousy. "I had waited for years for the right moment to go and confess my real feelings. Then you showed up and my chance was gone." This painful admission unlocks access to a video message Massimiliano recorded before his death, adding another layer to Sara's complicated past. Though she begins to play the message, she abruptly turns it off after hearing just a few words. "My love, if you're hearing these words, it means I'm gone," suggesting she's not yet ready to face this additional grief while still processing her son's death. The investigation takes a significant turn when Sara, Pardo, and Teresa, nicknamed Brownie, establish an impromptu surveillance headquarters in Pardo's apartment. His protests, "What if I had a hot date in here just now?" are met with derision from Sara, highlighting their evolving dynamic from antagonistic colleagues to something approaching grudging respect. Teresa's technical skills prove crucial, as she helps install wiretapping equipment targeted at Tarallo. Sara's mission now has institutional support, albeit unofficially, with Teresa explaining they need a safe place for the wiretaps. In a particularly bold move, Sara decides to recruit Viola, Sergio's pregnant girlfriend, for an undercover operation to plant a listening device on Tarallo. When Pardo objects to involving a civilian, especially a pregnant one, Sara dismisses his concerns with characteristic coldness. "Don't question my judgment. I chose you, right?" This calculated risk demonstrates Sara's willingness to use every available resource to solve her son's murder, even if it means putting others in potential danger. Viola proves surprisingly adept at the mission, using her pregnancy to distract Tarallo's bodyguard with fake labor pains and prenatal breathing exercises, allowing Sara to plant the listening device on the politician's car. The operation reveals significant information. Tarallo appears to be in negotiations with energy sector representatives, suggesting corruption beyond the xenophobic fear-mongering already uncovered. Even though we can't prove any of their criminal activity yet, we cannot let our guard down, Sara tells her team, highlighting the broader stakes of their investigation. The mention of kids, linking up with German neo-fascists, suggests international dimensions to the conspiracy they're unraveling. This scene effectively elevates the narrative from a personal vendetta to a matter of potential national security. Teresa's storyline takes a dramatic turn when she meets with her superior, Lembo, who reveals devastating news. They're going to close the unit. This bureaucratic decision, ostensibly due to budget cuts, threatens to derail their investigation just as it's gaining momentum. Lembo's frustration is palpable. I know my corner of the world. And I like it how it is, suggesting resistance to changing intelligence methods as much as actual budget constraints. Teresa later shares this news with Sara, proposing they make the unit's swan song heard by the whole world, transforming their investigation from seeking justice for Sergio to a last stand for their approach to intelligence work. The episode's most affecting sequence involves Viola sharing a photograph of Sergio with Sara. He was actually kinda pissed off in that moment, but looked at the camera and smiled at me. Viola explains, offering Sara a glimpse of a side of her son she never knew. This quiet moment humanizes Sara, who has remained stoic throughout much of her grief. When Viola reveals concert tickets Sergio had purchased as a surprise for her, she invites Sara to accompany her, an invitation Sara surprisingly accepts. This brief moment of connection with her son's partner represents Sara's first step toward understanding who Giorgio was beyond being her estranged child. Meanwhile, Eduardo receives information from an informant about another hit planned by TARALLO'S operatives, this one way bigger than previous incidents. His attempt to contact Sara fails when she doesn't answer his call, leaving him vulnerable as he investigates alone. The episode builds tension masterfully as Eduardo enters his darkened apartment, sensing something amiss. The metallic scraping sounds and his increasing panic create a palpable sense of dread before the inevitable attack occurs. When an unseen assailant confronts him with "Where you going, asshole?" and a gunshot rings out, viewers are left with the episode's most shocking cliffhanger. This potential assassination attempt on Eduardo represents a significant escalation in the conspiracy's response to being investigated. Where previously they silenced Sergio through methods that could be disguised as a migrant attack, now they appear to be taking more direct action against those threatening to expose them. The timing immediately after Eduardo learns of another planned hit suggests he was getting too close to preventing their next operation. The episode skillfully balances multiple narrative threads, while advancing Sara's character development. Her methodical approach to the investigation, planting bugs, conducting surveillance, recruiting assets, showcases her professional expertise, while her interactions with Viola hint at emotional growth as she begins to connect with her son's life. The skill with which she reads lips during the restaurant scene, deciphering TARALLO'S conversation from a distance, demonstrates why she was a valuable intelligence operative, grounding the character's capabilities in believable expertise rather than superhuman abilities. Pardo's character also evolves throughout the episode, from initial resistance to Sara's takeover of his apartment to grudging admiration of her operational skills. When Viola successfully distracts TARALLO'S bodyguard with fake labor pains, Pardo admits, "I didn't know I recruited a genius for our mission," acknowledging Sara's strategic thinking. Their partnership remains contentious but increasingly effective, with Pardo's local knowledge complementing Sara's operational experience. The political aspects of the narrative gain clarity in this episode, with TARALLO emerging as a figure exploiting social divisions for electoral gain while maintaining corrupt business relationships. His dinner conversation reveals he's willing to abandon campaign promises about nuclear energy in exchange for financial support from renewable energy interests. "You know, the higher the stakes are, the more gratitude you'll end up receiving," his dinner companion suggests, making explicit the quid pro quo nature of these political arrangements. This corruption appears connected to the staged crimes targeting migrants, forming a comprehensive strategy to manipulate public opinion while enriching TARALLO and his allies. The episode's final sequence with Sara and Viola attending the concert together represents a poignant symbolic moment. Sara literally stepping into the space her son would have occupied, beginning to understand him through experiencing things he valued. While not shown on screen, this concert attendance suggests Sara is evolving beyond the single-minded vengeance seeker we met in the premiere. She is now actively engaging with her son's life rather than solely focusing on his death. As the episode concludes, viewers are left with multiple cliffhangers. Eduardo's fate remains unknown after the apparent shooting. The intelligence unit faces imminent shutdown. The mysterious bigger hit planned by TARALLO'S operatives remains in motion, and Sara has yet to fully engage with Massimiliano's final message. These unresolved threads create urgent momentum carrying forward into the season's second half, transforming what began as a personal quest into a race against time with potentially national implications. The episode's greatest strength lies in how it elevates the stakes of Sara's investigation, without losing sight of its emotional core. By connecting Sergio's death to broader political corruption, the narrative expands in scope while maintaining its emotional resonance. Sara is no longer just a mother seeking justice. She's an operative racing to prevent further violence, while simultaneously processing her grief. This dual mission makes her both more complex and more sympathetic as a protagonist. Episode 4 marks a crucial turning point in Sara, Woman in the Shadows, transforming it from a straightforward revenge thriller into a more nuanced exploration of corruption, grief, and institutional failure. As Sara tells Teresa when discussing their investigation's new direction, "Let's do it smarter than before." This line could serve as the thesis statement for the episode itself. A smarter, more complex approach to the mystery that promises increasingly higher stakes and deeper emotional revelations as the season progresses.